Alrighty, we are back in business. Let's get into it. So my microphone was broken for a while. It was just not holding charge. I got a new one and I feel like I haven't done a face-to-face like this in what feels like forever. It's just been training videos. We're going to shake it up a little bit. In this video, we're going to dissect Collingwood's A team from training last Friday, and then we'll compare it to, or not even compare it, just give you my thoughts on it and what it will sort of look like going forward. But before we get into that, a couple of things. This is a mock-up of a t-shirt that will be dropping really soon, a Swoop tee. They're going to be in white, they're going to be in black. You can expect those next week. This is just a singlet. It was just a spare one that we had and I sort of chopped it down. Hats are still available for pre-order. And there's going to be bucket hats soon as well, but pretty much it's going to be tees and hats. The tees are going to be ready to go out. The hats will be ready by the end of February before round one. So that's going to be insane. It's the best way to support the channel. So many exciting things coming. Just got off the phone, had a really good chat today. I want to share it all with you, but I can't at the moment. But trust me, so many exciting things coming. Enjoy the ride. Let's get into this video. So on Friday, it was a 3-hour training session, and in that training session, towards the end, there was match simulation. There was a bunch of umpires and stuff like that. What we saw was a black team versus a white team, and it was very much Collingwood's A team in the black versus Collingwood's B team in the white. Now, that could change. It will change. We know this. When match simulation happens, when the practice match against Richmond happens, everything is going to change before opening round, because you've got to remember as well, Dan Houston won't be playing opening round, so there is going to be a spot on the half-back line. But what I wanted to do was put the team up, and you'll see it here. So this is the team that was in Collingwood's A side for the first half of match simulation. We'll go through it line by line. You'll see that in the substitutions there, or on the interchange, sorry, there's a blank space. So there was only 21 players in this black team in the A side. So there's space for two more. So we're going to sort of pick the two. So pick the one last player on the interchange bench and pick the one last player as the substitute. So without further ado, let's go through it. Now, we start at the back line. So there was 7 players in each of these categories: midfield, defense, and as a forward, and you'll see those get represented in the interchange bench. Now, in the back, there hasn't been much of a stray from what we sort of really know. Quaynor in the back pocket, Darcy Moore as our fullback, Braden Maynard in the other back pocket. A pretty sound defense, get those smalls, and we know Darcy likes to fly in. Now, the big change comes at half-back. Dan Houston off the half-back line, Jeremy Howe as your centre half-back, and Josh Dacos. Now, Josh Dacos has been training with the defense all around, right? He's not going to, look, he probably will play on the wing a little bit, but he's pretty much a defender flying off half-back. And the prospect of Houston, Quaynor, Dacos, Maynard doesn't do it too much, but we'll say Darcy Moore as well, flying off that half-back line and creating chances. We just didn't see that, right? We know that last season, our scores were generated from the forward half, whereas in 2023, they were all generated from back half. Now, that could be down to personnel, losing Nathan Murphy, Darcy Moore having to play, two positions, not really having that defender that we sort of need to replace Murphy. Frampton wasn't doing it. Charlie Dean wasn't doing it. So we're looking at pace off this half-back line, and rounding out the defenders in the A team was Reef McGuinness. I have been Reef's biggest fan since he moved to the back line, since my first preseason training in November. And everybody in the comments, no, Charlie Dean, Billy Frampton. Trust me when I say Reef McGuinness is that guy. He was in the A team, and he frees up Darcy Moore and Jeremy Howe in a way that I haven't seen for the last year or so. He's not going to be a Nathan Murphy replacement, right? Nathan Murphy was one of a kind, absolutely special player. What he will be a great release valve for Darcy Moore and Jeremy Howe to do what they want to do, because Reef can take a good mark. He's got a good footy brain, can back himself with the flight of the ball. He gives us something that Billy Frampton doesn't give us with his agility and his pace, and something that Charlie Dean doesn't give us with his footy IQ. Now, is there a place in this team for Charlie Dean or a Billy Frampton? Sure, horses for courses. But how I'm lining up in opening round or round one is Reece McInnes in that backline. You got to remember that last season at the start of the year, after a premiership, we opted for Charlie Dean over Billy Frampton. So don't tell me, oh, they don't want to put Reece in because he hasn't played in the back line. They're going to do it, and I've got a feeling it's going to be a success, let me tell you. So now moving to our midfielders. Now, in the middle, we have Patrick Lipinski on the wing, Perryman in the centre, Steele Sidebottom on the other wing. So we'll talk about those guys first. Now, when I was picking my best 23, I had Lipinski as the sub, and I said he could probably be easily interchangeable. Lipinski has dominated on the wing all season. When I picked my best 23, I think I had Josh Dacos on the wing, and that was because I just thought he was training as a back, just, again, horses for courses. But since he's a bona fide defender now, Lipinski's, that's his wing spot. Steele Sidebottom on the other wing. Steele doesn't look like he's lost any pace whatsoever. And Harry Perryman has not touched a ball in defense, right? We know that he was a defender at the Giants. They chucked him in the middle when they needed to, and he dominated in the middle. He came to Collingwood, or he was going to go to Port Adelaide for midfield opportunity. We promised him midfield time. There's so many opening round teams and round 1 teams and best 23 teams with Perryman as a halfback flanker or in a pocket. That's not going to happen. I'm telling you now, I've been to enough training sessions to see that is not going to happen. He's going to be in the middle, especially with no Tom Mitchell. Perryman has to shine. In one game, and I'll try and get the stat up and have it pop up. In one game, Perryman last year I think he laid 14 tackles or something. I could be making it up, and when I'm editing this, I'll let you know if I made it up or not. But I'm pretty sure he had over a dozen tackles anyway. Just absolutely dominated. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes in this sort of midfield. But from what I've seen, he's, again, silent assassin. That's what Harry Perryman is, and it's freaking exciting. And then the followers, Darcy Cameron, Scott Pendlebury, Nick Dacos, and Jack Crisp on that interchange. Pendlebury probably, it's Pendlebury, right? He can command wherever he wants. He can play wherever he wants. It's going to be interesting to see how they sort of manage those old legs, if they do sort of keep him off the interchange a little bit more, but time will tell. But from what I'm seeing in training, he hasn't lost a step. It's just about how they manage his body going forward. Now, the forward line. This has been the most contentious piece of Collingwood's, or anyone making Collingwood's best 23 opening round, Bo McCreary on a half forward flank, that's a given. Brody Mychek, centre half forward, Lockie Schultz on the other half forward flank. To have Bo and Schultz as your attacking, or your attacking defenders, your pressure forwards is second to none in the competition. Schultz is going to have a way better season than he did last season. And you've got to remember that Schultz kicked 30 goals last season. He was our second highest goal kicker. Yes, we didn't have Brody Mychek. Yes, we didn't have McStay for most of the year. But still, he kicked 30 goals. Bobby Hill won the Golden Commentary Award with 33 goals. So that's big for Schultz, right? He's playing in a different position than he played in Fremantle. So having Bo and Schultz running at defenders, they're going to be shitting themselves. I promise you, they're going to be absolutely shitting themselves when these two brick walls, these two raging bulls are just batting heads with the defenders in the AFL. It's just going to be absolutely crazy to see. Now, Brody Mychek as centre half forward, he's playing there. Mychek loves to get up the ground. We see this all the time. What was the problem over these last few years is that when Mychek's up the ground, there's no one to sort of mark that ball, because Cox, as much as I love Cox, sometimes he's unreliable. He has a good game, and when he's in the team, statistically we do play better and we do have a better win rate. But I feel like sometimes you just can't be trusted as that sole forward. So when Brody Mychek is coming up the ground and going into the 50, that's when you get Dan McStay. That's when you have Tim Membry, because Tim Membry, in my humble opinion, has gone past Cox. Cox doesn't make this team. You're not going to play 5 tall forwards anyway. But Tim Membry is that guy, and you're probably thinking, oh, but rucks. Dan McStay will take the ruck when he needs to take the ruck. Maybe even, Membry hasn't really trained in the ruck at all, but I'm sure if he needs to chop out, he can. But Dan McStay will take the forward ruck. Think of it as like a Tom Hawkins at Geelong, what he used to do in the forward line. As long as he competes, let the Crummers do their due diligence in the forward line. But that's what's going to happen. Brody Mychek kicking it into Dan McStay and Tim Membry. He even said in the interview yesterday, he wants to sit back and watch the Dan and Tim show because my check, he said himself, works better when he's providing for the team, when he's creating those chances. So expect in round 0, it was what I'm thinking, for a forward line to see, maybe from the get-go, Membry, McStay, and Brody Myercheck in that forward 50. That's fine. The 3Ms. That is... Oh, that's exciting. That is bloody exciting. Rounding off the forward line, Bobby Hill, Jamie Elliott, and obviously Dan McStay. What else can you say about Hill and Elliott? They're absolutely just incredible small forwards. The thing I like about bringing Membry in and then having McStay and Brody Myercheck is that Jamie Elliott doesn't have to play tall anymore. You remember last year we had so many injuries that Will Hoskin-Elliott was playing tall. Ed Allen in his debut against Fremantle played tall because Myercheck and Cox were both injured that game. So Jamie Elliott can get back to what he was best known for, that crumbing small forward who can take a good mark when he needs to, but he doesn't have to be that second best forward anymore. He can sort of sit back like Myercheck, sit back, let the big guys do their job, and he just crumbs, he just creates opportunities, and it's just going to be a real nice, very nice dynamic to our forward line this year. So on the interchange bench, we kind of touched on it. Reece McInnes, Jack Crisp, Tim Membry, so defender, midfielder, and forward. So now we've got a couple of choices to make. So there's 21 players here. There's 23 in a side, because you've got the 22nd on the interchange, obviously, and then a sub. So who do we put in here? Come on. You know it's going to be De Goey, right? I know. Now, it could have been Mitchell, but we know that Mitchell's not going to play, right? This is not a best 23. This is more so a round 1 because we know Dan Houston isn't going to play opening round because he's suspended. So let's look at this as a round 1 team. Jordan De Goey, by all accounts, should be ready to go in round 1. Should be ready to go in round 1. Round 1 is, what's the date? The 11th. Round 1 is still a month away or so, just over a month, maybe 4.5 weeks away. Jordan De Goey should get his body right in 4.5 weeks. Bit of bone bruising. Other than that, he should be ready to play. Obviously didn't play in the match sim because of that bone bruising. Now, as your sub, now the sub, I'm just going to use Jordan De Goey's sort of thing here. There's a bunch of players that could be the sub. The one that makes the most sense to me, or the couple that make the most sense to me, Will Hoskin-Elliott, because he can be your jack of all trades, your Mr. Fix-It in any of those positions. It could be Oleg Markov if you want a little bit more run off that half-back line, but I don't think we really need to. Or it could be Ed Allen, because I feel that Ed Allen's going to break into the best 23 by the end of the year. He'll probably play, if we play finals, I think Ed Allen will feature. Because remember that I'm saying that this is the passing of the baton year. This is 2009 into 2010 when we won the premiership. Not saying we're going to win the premiership, but it's that passing of the baton. The older guys make way for the younger guys. So it could be any of those 3 players. If I had to choose based on what I'm seeing at training, it probably will be Will Hoskin-Elliott, just because he's so flexible that if a midfielder, forward, or a defender goes down, Will can sort of be that anywhere man and that Mr. Fix-It. This team as it stands, though, fantastic. Fan-frickin-tastic. Like, that's a top, to me, that's a top 4 team. It's a premiership team, if you're asking me. It's just, look, the only probably weakness that I would say, and we've talked about this numerous times, is that we don't have that big fullback, right? We don't have that big fullback because Billy Frampton just hasn't come up there. Personally, if we didn't get Tim Membry in the delisted free agent, I wanted Billy Frampton to be that third tall, right? That nullifying, kind of like what he did in the grand final, but hopefully takes a bit more marks and kicks a bit more goals. I wanted him to be that third tall, reinvent him into a forward. We bring Tim Membry in, Billy Frampton stays as a defender, and he'll come in when we sort of need to play 2 big key backs. So that's probably the only weakness. We're obviously going for speed out of the back. Like I said, we generated most of our goals from the forward 50 last year and not a lot from the back half. So we're going to go back to that 2022-2023 model, controlled chaos, goals from the back half. But let me know your thoughts down below. Do you like this Collingwood A team? So remember, this is what the coaches picked for that first bit of match sim. And then we'll obviously see it next week in the Richmond game. Now, sorry, not the Richmond game, the Gold Coast Brisbane game. Now, if you're going to the Gold Coast Brisbane game, please leave a comment down below. I will be there. I'm flying up on Wednesday night. The game is on Thursday, I'm pretty sure. We're going to do a swooping around there. We're going to do a lot of things. There's going to be a vlog. I've got a new vlogging camera, so that's going to be fun. Vlogs are coming back. We are just going to absolutely take this to the moon. You're coming on the journey. The t-shirts drop next week. That's very exciting. You can get a hat. Links are down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.